Good day and welcome to today's Jericho Energy Ventures as part of the Planet MicroCap Showcase. It is now my pleasure to turn the floor over to your host, CEO Brian Williamson of Jericho Energy Ventures.
Good morning and thank you for joining us today. I'm Brian Williamson, the CEO of Jericho Energy Ventures. At Jericho, we're focused on the energy transition that is happening right here, right now. You need to look no further than today's comments by President Biden at the opening of the Climate Summit. President Biden promised a 50% reduction in U.S. emissions by 2030. Classic forward-looking statement. So at Jericho Energy Ventures, we believe the shift to cleaner energy is going to be the biggest opportunity of the decade. We envision the transition to happen quickly and happen globally. Our vision is to be a big part of what we believe will be the investment opportunity of the decade. So our focus in this investment opportunity is on the hydrogen value chain. And we're going to tell you a little bit more today about how we see participating in the hydrogen value chain and the exciting technology that we are looking forward to bringing to the market in the not too distant future. So Jericho has been around for a bit. We built Jericho since 2014, and what is significant about that is who are our supporters. So we have had a handful of families that have been fantastic supporters of Jericho since the beginning, led by the Breen family, and the head of the Breen family, Ed Breen, the chairman and CEO of DuPont, been an investor since day one. The Belzberg family, led by Strauss Zelnick, the chairman of CBS and the CEO of Take-Two. The Hegna family, the Grace family, these have been our investors since the beginning. And between the group, the five families that have been with us since the beginning, they control about 75% of the shares. So over the last year, we have been focused on being a part of this energy transition. And that focus, as I said earlier, was on hydrogen. And just at the beginning of this year, in February, we acquired Hydrogen Technologies. And the reason for the acquisition is very specific. As we all know, the global push is to lower carbon. You're seeing it from a government perspective. You're seeing it from a local regulatory perspective, corporate perspective. You're seeing the capital going into more and more environmentally focused investment vehicles. And you're seeing CEO of global companies, major companies, being asked, how are they going to reduce their carbon footprint? The concept of changing light bulbs isn't cutting it. So if you listen to earnings calls and listen to the ask of the analyst, the ask is pretty straightforward. Give me your climate bridge. How do you get to net zero? How do you reduce your emissions? Show me over the next 5 and 10 years how you are going to become a zero emission company. And the reality is that you're seeing it now from the investors who are coming into the funds that invest in ESG. Being an investor and being Microsoft and buying credits isn't enough anymore. People want to see real action. They want to see real movement. They want to see the environment changing. So Hydrogen Technologies, this is our first step. This is just the first step in our thesis in owning the hydrogen value chain. But it is a valuable, critical step, and it's probably the most overlooked part of the emissions problem, industrial commercial emissions, steam. The reality is that most of the things you're seeing today are focused on mobility, moving cars, moving planes, moving people. But what nobody is talking about is steam. And steam represents one of the biggest emissions problems that we face out there today. And it's a fairly pervasive problem across industry: pulp and paper, food processing, refining, chemicals, mining, minerals, beverages. Steam touches just about every part of our life. Heating, steam. So when we think about steam, a lot of us don't realize where it plays into the world and how much of our emissions are from steam. It represents 20% of the emissions that you see right here, right now, today. What's even more disturbing is 37%, come from coal burning boilers. Coal. 37% of those come from coal. You have to look at this market and realize that it is going to be a big piece of the change that has to happen. You're dealing with fossil fuel burning, steam use facilities, boilers specifically, 35% of it coming from coal, and 85% greenhouse gas emissions. What's more disturbing is when you think about the age of the fleet that's out there. So all of the equipment out there making steam is old. You're looking at things that have 40-year life on them. They are sitting there in the basement in many facilities, not necessarily visible to us, but what is visible is the steam coming out of those smokestacks that are polluting the air. So what do we love about hydrogen technologies, and what do we think is so game-changing about this technology that we want to own it and bring it to the market? It's what they do and what the technology does. Hydrogen Technologies, DCC, revolutionizes the steam world. So imagine a world where you now are able to produce steam without any emissions. And that's exactly what the team at Hydrogen Technologies developed. And now that team is a part of Jericho, and together we're bringing this solution to the market. So what they have done is not only solve the emission problem when it comes to industrial and commercial steam, but they also have developed a solution that is more energy efficient. So think about a closed loop system, a heating and energy system that is powered by two things, hydrogen and oxygen. You have pure hydrogen, pure oxygen coming together inside the DCC in a chemical reaction at 61,000 BTUs. 61,000 BTUs. That is incredible for anybody out there that is knowledgeable on fossil fuels or energy or heat values. 61,000 BTUs. So you are delivering a tremendous amount of energy, and all of that energy, almost all of that energy is being captured. We call it the DCC stretch. So not only are you delivering clean energy, but you are delivering more energy with the DCC. And if you look at the graph, you can kind of see it. We tried to represent that 15+% efficiency pickup. And all of that comes from the fact that we have a closed loop system. There's nothing being emitted. So everything that goes on in the DCC is captured. There's no waste gas. There's no emissions, no greenhouse gas, pure oxygen, pure hydrogen coming together to make steam. The only thing that's left over is condensate or water that's recycled through and used back again in the system. So imagine our solution, and as we roll this out to the world, we're the only zero emission solution focused on the commercial and industrial space. It's patented, so which means that nobody can do what we're doing. Nobody can put a hydrogen-oxygen boiler system in the market without violating our patent. So you have an emission-free system that costs the same and delivers more energy than anything else out there in the market. So, most of the things you think about and most of the way people think about zero-emission solutions are they're going to cost more money. The beauty of the DCC is on an energy basis, it actually doesn't cost more money. It is very cost competitive with all of the things out there that are actually emitting. So now you don't have to be a CEO and stand up there and say to your investors and say, good news, we're emission free. Bad news, we don't make any more money. It's not a real value proposition in the market. So how does it work? Sort of walk you through the process on how it all comes together. So power sources, we're agnostic. You can use renewable, you can use grid power. In today's world, you're going to see a combination of both. That's just the reality. Sourcing of the hydrogen and oxygen, again, agnostic for us. But what we're seeing is the use of electrolyzers is fairly common because it delivers the oxygen and the hydrogen in the right mix for the boiler. Can we work with blue hydrogen? Absolutely. Can we work with gray hydrogen? Absolutely. So the reality is, whatever the sourcing is for the DCC, what comes out is just steam, no waste. So as the hydrogen world develops, as the renewable grid gets better and gets bigger, you'll see those things be even more efficient for the DCC. But at this point, we've left that part of the equation open so that we can take all hydrogen, all oxygen sources, and produce clean steam from them. So you bring them all together to utilize the steam in whatever way your use is. So it can be industrial, can be commercial. So when you think about commercial heating, district heating, you take a city like Vancouver, it heats with steam. Imagine the DCC providing the city of Vancouver clean steam. So let's talk a little bit about the competitive advantages. So when you think about efficiency, energy in, energy out, there is efficiency loss in just about everything there is out there that has a smokestack. And it's just common physics. If you're going to release some energy, you're going to have some efficiency loss. With the DCC, you don't have that loss. All of our loss in efficiency comes from the electrolyzer and the input side. But once it hits the DCC, we capture all of that energy, 61,000 BTUs. Remember what I said at the beginning. All of that is captured. All of that flashes the hydrogen and oxygen together at a 5,080-degree chemical reaction, delivering clean steam. And you can look at the other ones. And obviously, some of your solutions are cleaner than others. You have your coal-fired, which is not clean at all, obviously, but is fairly efficient. So when you think about our world, the things that are emission-free, you have the DCC and the clean hydrogen. You have electric. Obviously, electric has no output, and you have biomass. One of the things you don't see in the commercial industrial world is the use of electric or biomass facilities. And that's for a fairly simple reason. They're inefficient when it comes to no access to power. So imagine you're running your process. Imagine you're a tomato processing facility here in the Central Valley of California, and all of a sudden peak power comes around and California has a rolling blackout and you have to stop. It can't happen. Can't have a process where you lose power in the middle of it. That's why you don't see electric boilers typically deployed in any commercial industrial setting. Cost. So our cost competition is natural gas. Natural gas is cheap, it's plentiful, and it's available in most places. But natural gas is not emission-free. So when you think about the DCC in terms of cost, we are right there with natural gas. And when does the cost of the DCC get better? Every single day, right? So our cost isn't going up. Our cost is going down. Our hydrogen input costs get cheaper every day. They're building gigafactories for electrolyzers. Electrolyzer costs are coming down every single day. Our cost of power for the sourcing of the electrolyzer is going down every day. Most industrial customers have 3 and 4 cents power. For our analysis, we use 6 just to be conservative here. But when you think about cost, nothing is getting cheaper when you have emissions. And if you think about the emission world and the evolution of it, when we think about it, the most conservative value we're seeing is $50. Canada, it's $130 plus. New York City, in 5 years, it's going to $268 per ton of carbon emissions, $268. So it isn't getting cheaper anywhere you are. So as you can see, the DCC is very competitive from a cost perspective with everything out there, more efficient and no emissions. Our world. So 3 typical industrial facilities here. The top one represents your standard power plant, right? So you have your greenhouse gas getting emitted in the smokestack. Let's see, up here, smokestack represents 60% of the heat is lost. A little bit better, you're getting some combined heat and power in a district energy setting. Still have loss though because you have a smokestack. When you have a smokestack, you have to have loss. Our world, no smokestack. Nothing is lost. All of the energy that comes in gets transferred out. So you have an 88% plus combined efficiency, best in class. So again, value proposition to the customer base is all about the efficiency and the energy, right? By using a chemical reaction operating in the ultraviolet zone of the flame, not the infrared zone, you are not having any radiated heat loss. You are capturing all of that energy. So who uses our boiler, and who do we see as our market? It's global, obviously, and it's a fairly wide group of folks out there. And I will say that this is a growing list, and I would tell you that we do not have any indication that we have full understanding of all of the places that it can be used. And just to give you an example, this week I got to see a waffle making facility, 20 million waffles a day making facility that uses steam to heat waffle irons. Didn't know anything about it, didn't know it existed, but another use of steam. So when you think about places where you have non-pressure vessels, which are really just straight heating systems, stadiums, venue halls, airports, universities, shopping malls, hospitals, that's just a few. The industrial side, and this is the part that just keeps growing on us because I don't think we appreciate all of the steam uses. Some of them aren't intuitive. Refining pulp, paper, chemicals, those are intuitive. All the vaccines being made today by the pharmaceutical companies, food processing. Right? So in California, tomatoes, the waffle example I just gave, wines, beer, every food you can think of uses steam in the processing component of its manufacturing. Refrigeration, chillers use steam. Metals, mining, energy storage, right? Think about the ability to store energy in the form of steam. And the list keeps going on. Data centers, power utilities. Imagine converting all of those coal facilities to clean steam, what that would do. And to give you an idea of the value proposition, okay, what people don't appreciate is we see cars every day. We don't see coal-fired power plants every day. But imagine the equivalent. One coal-fired plant puts out as much emissions as 5,000 cars a day. That's a big number. 5,000 cars a day is the same as one coal plant. So, really sort of something to consider when you think about the emissions you don't see. So our model, how are we going to roll this out and how are we going to build this business? So you will see us selling our technology. We are bringing it to market right now. You are going to see the DCC across the globe in a traditional selling of the technology market. But we believe that market will evolve and we will also sell steam. We do believe the future will be setting up massive facilities where we sell clean steam for district heating and other uses. But we do see that off in the future. So how big is the market for the DCC and the industrial world? So we think it's about a $28 billion market. That's our best guess at this point, and that's a pretty tight circle of a lot of the things that I just talked about today. And it's a growing market, right? So when people think about their decisions when they replace their existing boilers, those are 20 and 30-year decisions. So when people think about where we are today and people talk about getting to net zero by 2030, by 2040, those are the boiler decisions they're making today. And the thesis being, well, people are conservative, it takes time to get there. You don't have a choice because the carbon tax is coming, the cost of carbon is coming, and the loss of investor base is coming because you're not getting green. People care about being green. A little bit more drill down on what that market looks like, the industrial boiler market. You typically have, your typical chemical, petrochemical folks, your refining folks. I talked about food, pulp, paper. These are all real markets, U.S., European. markets that every day are looking at cutting their emissions. So the growth drivers for us, it's a combination of things. So things to keep in mind are what is changing. You are getting forced to change. If you are in California and you are in one of the cities that now has a mandate, and I believe there's probably 48 of them now that have a mandate that says by 2024, you cannot build anything industrial or commercial that uses fossil fuels. Denver, same rules. So you're seeing it over and over again. I talked about the New York rules. You have similar rules coming in the UK. The whiskey industry, the UK is moving the whiskey industry to green. In 5 years, the whiskey industry has to be produced with green energy. So you're seeing it. And if you choose not to see that, what you're going to see are the carbon prices. So you're going to continue to see the carbon prices rise. You're seeing it now at $50 a ton. You're going to move to $133 a ton in Canada. So it's a big problem, and it's being taken seriously across the planet, and you're seeing everybody get pushed into that vein. When you think about it, when it comes to be a part of the investment thesis, so when Larry Fink talks about how BlackRock invest, Larry Fink controls more money than anyone in the world in terms of investment dollars. So Larry Fink has made it a part of all of his analyst programs. We want to know what you're doing for the climate, how you're helping the climate. Big part of the process. Just more illustration. California's net zero goals, the EU's net zero goals, Massachusetts, New York. So you're seeing it across the board. Everybody talks transportation, but look at the industrial market. Pretty significant market. And the reason that it doesn't get talked about as much is because you don't see it. Obviously, most of the places that are building and making the things that we use every day don't sit in our backyards. The cars do. That's why we see the cars. But remember, each of those coal-fired boilers represent 5,000 cars. So if we can get the gases out of the industrial market, it's a long way to cleaning up the environment. So, at the beginning I said, this is new to us. So what's new to us is the acquisition of HTI. We've been doing energy now for 25 years as a team. The HTI team is now part of our team at Jericho, and we've been together now for 2 months, 2 months and a few days. Since then, we have seen through our single source of sales, which is sales at Hydrogen Technologies, Inc., we have an influx of opportunities that we have sort of now building our pipeline. In terms of those opportunities, the ones that we see as near term and real, there's 12 plus, representing almost 40 megawatts of capacity. And they run the gamut: food, commercial, consumer products, chemicals, global EPCs, ag, you name it, we've seen it right now. From cities looking to do district heating to folks looking to produce their whiskey with clean energy. A little bit of the guts of the DCC. So all of our secret sauce lies inside the burner chamber. The bulk of the boiler is pretty traditional stuff. There's a few things that we have changed in there, but the bulk of our sweet spot and our secret sauce lies in that 61,000 BTU chemical reaction that we are able to create. And that's where all of the energy comes from. So what are we doing now? So now we're talking to different folks about being partners. We want to own the value chain. So from our perspective, we want EPC partners, we want generation partners, we want storage partners, we want compression partners. We are looking at OEM manufacturing opportunities in the U.S., North America, Europe, because we do not want COVID sort of lingering and causing us the inability to deliver our boilers to clients who purchase them. So our goals, line up solution partners, sign up manufacturing beyond the existing one we have, and build out our sales pipeline. Our goal is to have 2 to 5 of our boilers installed in the next 12 months. We expect to have more contract signs than that, but we expect to have 2 to 5 of them installed in the next 6 months. But please understand, we are not done. As I said at the very beginning of the presentation, everything that we have right now is around industrial commercial steam. But what you'll see from us in the coming months, weeks, years is ownership of the whole hydrogen value chain. We want to produce our own hydrogen. We want to continue to look for more applications that are unique and have a captive audience just like the DCC. But we believe hydrogen is a big part of the coming energy transition, and at Jericho, we want to be a part of it. It's just more on our team. And I'll take questions since we only have 5 minutes left. Take questions instead of just sort of rolling through the rest of these. Where do I find questions? Okay. So question on hydrogen production. So I said in the beginning that, we're agnostic to where the hydrogen comes from, but from our perspective, we see the electrolyzer technology and green hydrogen being the holy grail. You're seeing things move towards that direction, and we see there being nothing that will keep it from continuing to progress to becoming efficient, more efficient, and being a part of the value chain. We think it makes, extends the green solution even further, and it's something that we're really excited to see, continuing to grow. But one of the things that we have not done is focused on which electrolyzers make the most sense. We can work with PIM and alkaline electrolyzers. Most of the time, people who use steam will go with a PIM-based electrolyzer just because its ability to ramp quickly. Okay, so that is all the questions in the queue that I see. So thanks, everyone, and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. This does conclude today's webcast. Thank you for your participation and have a wonderful day.